Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's very late in the evening. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Sundaram and MPOC for inviting me as an industry player to present my views on red palm oil and palm carotenoids and the challenges and opportunities that exist in the business that we do. Over the last 2.5 days, all of you have heard so much good science about palm bioactives. You heard a lot of work on red palm oil, tocotrienols, carotenoids, phenolics. All of this, of course, looks very promising. But what is the ground reality? For those of us who run this business, face a lot of challenges, and yet we see a lot of opportunity as well. So the idea of my talk over the next 15 minutes is to give you a good overview of the journey that we have so far traveled and where we propose to go. So my presentation outline, for those of you who have not so familiar with the red palm fruit oil story, I'd just like to give you a quick overview of what it is all about, because there is so much of confusion about red palm fruit or red palm oil in the market that you must know the real deal. And also a word about how we as a company extract nutraceuticals from red palm. And you heard Dr. Jack speaking about sustainability. Those of us in the palm business know that this is key to success. We can't really market to the developed world in particular if you do not have a good sustainability story. I'd also like to talk about what is the competitive scenario when you look at red palm. Who are you competing against? So it will give you some idea in terms of both its nutritional attributes or in terms of its competitive scenario, where does this oil stand? And indeed then, what is the nutritional advantage for this oil? And briefly touch upon the science thus far on palm carotenoids, and then tell you we have been in this business for 19 years, ladies and gentlemen. Not a short amount of time. The learning curve has been very steep, and we have faced enormous challenges in marketing this oil. And the same with marketing palm carotenoids, which is an extract from red palm. But yet, despite this very difficult journey, if I may say, we see a lot of opportunities. And I'd like to identify these opportunities and then like to make a clarion call to all the members of the industry and partners who probably are looking at this business, or customers who are fence sitters and not yet buying this product, or consumers at large who haven't tried this product, to look at what we think is the way forward. So this has been repeated several times over the last 2 days, so I'll skip this, but you can see that the red palm fruit oil comes from the mesocarp, or the flesh of the oil palm fruit, and the palm kernel, which is what you see in the center there, is basically used to produce oleochemicals. Now, you've heard that the red palm fruit oil contains not just carotenoids and tocotrienols. It has many other valuable micronutrients present, especially squalene, other phospholipids, phytosterols. So it's a whole natural bouquet, a package that Mother Nature provides. And you heard Dr. Jack quite elegantly say that there is a lot of difference between you taking individual supplements versus taking the real deal that Mother Nature offers. Now, to give you an idea, between Malaysia and Indonesia, we probably produce 90% of the world's palm oil, but almost all of it is refined in a way that all these valuable antioxidants, or most of it, is destroyed due to the high temperature heat treatment process that we carry out in deacidifying and deodorizing this oil. So as you can see from this slide, that all these are deodorized at very high temperatures of 260 to 270 degrees. And under those conditions, you'll end up with an oil that doesn't look red anymore. It's the normal palm oil that you know, and then it is fractionated as palmolene and then used as cooking oil in many parts of the world, particularly in the developing world. Now, what we have done through a patented technology that was originally developed by the Malaysian Palm Oil Board, we use a very mild refining technique called molecular distillation, and we produce an oil that's completely refined, that meets all the international specifications of refined edible oils, yet we do not destroy the valuable minor components present in the oil, and therefore you can see the oil is indeed full of the original natural bioactive compounds that were present in this oil. It's interesting to note that the carotenoid composition of palm fruit oil is in fact quite similar to carrots, in that it has over 60% of beta carotene and over 30% of alpha carotene, and then a whole array of other natural carotenoids that are present. You've heard in detail about the composition of vitamin E, and I'm sure you will hear more about it from my distinguished colleague who's going to speak on tocotrienols next. But you will see that palm fruit has got a unique composition where 75 to 80% of the total vitamin E is in the form of tocotrienols. Now, we as a company use the red palm fruit oil as a base and then extract nutraceuticals out of it, and we go through a methyl ester route that produces a mixed concentrate, and from the mixed concentrate we produce a carotene feedstock, a tocotrienol feedstock, and then subject it through a series of separation and purification methods that then finally produces a product that we market as 30% carotenes or 50% tocotrienols. But we as a company are capable of producing almost 60% of natural carotenes and 70% tocotrienols. The key word nowadays in marketing palm oil is sustainability. I'm happy to say that through a very conscious effort, our group has always looked at this business to be a completely traceable, a completely in-house quality control, and a fully vertical integrated system. And this, I believe, is key to success because, as you can see, right from the plantations to the end product nutraceuticals, every single step of the supply chain is controlled by us. And therefore, we are able to offer customers not only the traceability that they need, as well as the gold standard in sustainability, which is the RSPO segregated certification system. So, for those of you who are probably thinking, should I source this product because would it lead to some environmental degradation, or is it really a sustainable product? You need to look nowhere, because you have a fully guaranteed product. If you look at the competitive scenario, now we market two types of oils. One is the pure red palm superoline, and the other is a blend with canola. Now, if you compare the healthy oils in the market, and I look at olive oil, if you compare, olive oil contains no carotenoids, and so do the other oils that are present. None of them contain any carotenoids. And the vitamin E content, which is we use as tocopherols plus tocotrienols, is also significantly higher than all the other oils. Then you might say, not just comparing with other oils, how does it compare to sources of vitamin E from vegetable sources? And here again, the comparison is quite striking. You don't get as much vitamin E from vegetable sources, and therefore what you get here is a very rich and concentrated source of tocotrienols as well as carotenoids. Now this table, RE stands for retinol equivalence, which is the level of vitamin A potency that the product has got. You will see that the red palm fruit oil contains almost 15 times more retinol equivalents than carrots, and 300 times more retinol equivalents than tomatoes. Now that's, you can't, you have got to be a rabbit if you need to consume that level of carotenoids. Here, a tablespoon of the product would give you the daily requirement of carotenoids and vitamin E. So what in the end is the whole nutritional package that we want to offer from red palm oil. One, anybody that uses this either as an end consumer or as a food industry, you can improve the nutritional value of the end product by making RDA claims on the product, boost the nutritional content because of all the minor components that the oil has got. There has been so much of work that's available on our website. I don't have the time to go through all of that, but there's a lot of work that has been done in the area of vitamin A deficiency, heart disease, cancer, and these are all published information. The food industry is now looking to reduce or eliminate the use of synthetic colors, and therefore here is an oil that's almost a 3-in-1 package. It's a good functional oil. It comes with a bouquet of natural antioxidants that are good for human health, and then it provides a natural color, therefore eliminating the use of any synthetic or artificial colors. So the Caroteno red palm fruit oil comes with a number of claims, the obvious ones being GMO free. I want to emphasize the trans fatty acid free because our process indeed produces 0 trans fatty acids. And of course it comes from sustainable plantations. It conforms to all the best quality standards. And people don't realize that when you want to market to a market like EU, then you are not looking at just the major components. You have to look at the very fine impurities like dioxins, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, mycotoxins, heavy metals, and all of this in our oil, including the latest issue on 3-MCPD and glycidol esters. You'll be surprised that we actually, through this process, meet almost all the stringent requirements that the marketplace needs. Now, in the case of palm, moving on to palm carotenes, you will find that there is also a lot of science, although not as much work has been done on palm carotenes as much has been done on tocotrienols, yet there has been evidence that it inhibits certain types of cancer cells, it has antioxidant properties, and so on. All of this is listed. The reference papers are there for you to read at leisure. But in terms of challenges, when we started this business, and we first obviously launched it in our home country, which is Malaysia, people thought you must be crazy launching a red oil, because in this country, the Chinese use red oil as a praying oil. So that's where we started with. And it was so difficult to convince the world that red means good for you, because the whole world believes the lighter the oil, the better it is for you. And we were up against olive oil with thousands of years of history. So we needed a lot of science. We needed to overcome the saturated fat issue, the pressure from environmental NGOs. And then most people thought, how can this product be from Asia? It's just too good to be true. It cannot be from Asia. So, there was also that cultural barrier that we had to overcome. And of course, a lot of tariff and non-tariff barriers as well. In marketing palm carotenoids, of course, you always have a benchmark of synthetic beta-carotene, where people compare us on price and performance. They look at other natural sources of carotenoids. And therefore, there was a lot to prove also in terms of the evidence. And we need a lot of clinical trial evidence. And then the beta-carotene study on smokers did not help, because that came up with something that said carotenoids don't look good. But natural carotenoids are different. And as I said, today the industry poses stringent demands with respect to residual solvents, dioxin, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, and so on, which we as a company over the years, through the process development and quality control exercise, have been able to meet. So what are the opportunities? The way I see it is, I think a lot of good science has happened. There is an avenue to establish a niche market. We need to capitalize on the excellent sustainability platform. We have a great opportunity to improve the image of palm oil in general by positioning palm oil and ride on the red palm story and the story of the palm-based nutraceuticals. We can highlight the benefits of all the natural carotenoids. You'll hear from the next speaker a lot about tocotrienols. And I think we need to differentiate and use the synergistic benefits, as you heard from the last speaker, how these minor constituents in Mother Nature plays a completely different role from its individual components. The way I see the way forward, and I have exactly 1 minute to do that, is we believe that we should aggressively pursue this differentiation strategy. We are different, and we need to prove to the world that we are different, but we are healthy, we are price competitive, we are sustainable, and this is good for the world. We need to accelerate human clinical trials to create even more compelling scientific evidence. We need to explore applications beyond food applications, move into the personal care and the industrial use, enhance and further strengthen the sustainability story. The world must know that palm oil, and particularly palm oil that is derived from Malaysia, is sustainable. And as I said, we need to use red palm and palm nutraceuticals as a vehicle to increase the awareness and enhance the image of palm oil in general. On the area of vitamin A deficiency, we need to use G2G discussions as a platform to make sure that this oil finds a platform and does good to combat vitamin A deficiency for many children and women around the world who suffer from serious clinical or subclinical vitamin A deficiency. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Unnithan, and thank you for keeping